Welcome to our new podcast, The Uncool. I'm Yanling.
And I'm Sean.
And usually on our usual freelance creative exchange podcast, we talk to professionals about how to supercharge their freelance careers. But after speaking to so many people, we were thinking, how did they get so cool? I mean, in order to achieve their successes and fame, they must have been pretty uncool at a certain point.
No matter what kind of successes they have, we get our guests to dish out all the awkward moments that led them to where they are now. Some are even putting the cool in uncool jobs.
So let's go talk to the Uncools.
Well, Sean, before we know it, we have reached the final episode of this season of the Freelance Creative Exchange, The Uncool. Thank you to you as well as our audience for joining us for all 10 episodes.
And thank you for having me. But, I'm going to hand back the Freelance Creative Exchange podcast back to you. And I'll catch you on the other side, as the listener. I much prefer being the listener.
No, our podcast room is always open to you, Sean.
Just accept that invitation one day and then you're going to regret it. But as you said, it's our last episode. So let's get to it. Who did we speak to? We spoke to Jerry. Jerry Ho, and his name, his face may seem familiar to you because he's been an actor for the last 20 years. That means he's been in many, many shows. And he's also a collector of many, many things. In fact, he brought many, many things to our studio. He told us many, many stories. So let's get to it.
So, Jerry, I think a lot of our viewers here would recognize you for...
Is it good or bad?
But we've seen your face on TV quite a few times in shows and commercials. But, when do you think you were the most cool and uncool?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm very cool now. But it all depends on the era you're talking about, right? When I was growing up, when I first went over to England when I was a kid, I think I was very much the foreigner trying very hard to fit in. So and in the 70s and 80s, it was a booming culture. So you try very hard to absorb the fashion, the style, and so on and so on. And I find that in some ways I was like a fish out of water, trying so hard to blend but not quite making it. But the period when I was my first 3 or 4 years in England, I think looking back, I was very uncool because I was trying so hard to adapt, to fit in, and I was doing everything possible to stand out. And I stood out in all the wrong ways. I had red flaming hair. I don't know why I keep saying red, but red jacket, with the shoulder pad that comes right to your ears, spotted color. Black ones. That period, yeah. And then Winkle Pinkle shoes, I think I called it, very sharp ones, and I was strutting around. I even bought a gold pendant shape of the inverted, what's it called? The star thing, Star of David, yeah. Which is, why am I wearing that, just because I thought it's cool. But looking back, I was most uncool. This Chinese guy with a tan, I look as brown as an Arab, with slanty eyes, and just going, "Hey, how are you doing, mate?" And I remember there was one point we would do a lot of sunbathing. And because it's a healthy thing going on, Oliver Newton-John and physical, all these records about looking tanned and healthy and all that. So there was this Chinese-looking guy, with a brown tan, and I was in art school. So, all the fashions I'd be wearing, big shoulder pads, I had red jacket with black spots. And then jeans, and then the shoes, they were like black and pointy. You could kick something and you get them to die. You kill pets. And so it went through that period when I thought I was cool, but not at all. And looking back, you kind of like cringe.
What is it like though to grow up in London?
I was in art school, so quite a lot happening. In fact, Middlesex Polytechnic, Hornsey, what the School of Art was where I was. There were quite a lot of Asians at the time when I was there. So and quite a lot of international students. I got over there when part of the Commonwealth, so I kind of had the benefit of free education for a period of time. And then, of course, the British government realized that they could make a lot of money from overseas students. So the fees were slapped in, but that was getting to the end of my course. So, yeah.
So if you want to know how old Jerry is, you just need to find out when this policy was implemented and you work backwards from there.
This is when I say shit.
Oh man.
But yeah, we went over a period of time. So
so what was it like in graphic design school then for you?
Okay. Well, you see, the thing is, the way that the culture is such, the way they teach education system is very relaxed, and in college, you could the teacher could be offering you a cigarette, and you could be asking a light, and come from Asia and our kind of polite sensibilities. I remember saying to the lecturer, "May I go to the toilet?" And they're going, "You want to know the way? Well, there's a boy there." And to them it's like, what the heck? Where do you come from? The education system is such where it's very relaxed, and they really rely on you doing your own thing. And that was at the period where all the Sandy show, I believe all the pop stars went through art school in that period.
Yeah.
So it was a very hyped up, trendy place. I was quite by accident. I didn't realize I would end up being in that college. And so there were quite a lot of things happening. We went for students' marches, and I was like, supporting all kinds of stuff that I didn't really have much of an idea about, like anti-abortion bill. So I see friends on the road, come on, and they say, "Why are you doing this?" I'm going, "Not the thing to do, right?"
My friend asked me to go.
Yeah. So, looking back though, I would say that it was a very nice, exciting period to be in. But I did a lot of rather embarrassing things.
But always at that point of time, right? You're like, "Oh, I'm so hip. I'm so cool."
I was really, what a lot of people would probably want to be or imagine to be. But no, yeah.
Maybe
my hair was big and huge. Big goggles,
Just the collective groans.
And then I had this huge, because we're talking about late 70s, bell bottoms we got road sweepers. You walk and then they sweep the floor because they're huge. Even jeans are huge. The flares. So you think that I'm so cool. You take a pictures there, and then you look back. In fact, in the 80s or 90s, I believe I was working at a design company, and they had a party, and they were saying, "Show us a picture of your most embarrassing fashion."
Those were the days.
And so, what do you think now about the way graphic design is trained and the new breed of graphic designers that are coming out with going to advertising and so and art directing and so on?
Because of the internet, I think the world has changed very fast. We have to keep up with it. Now you're using all kinds of softwares. At the click of a button, you can transform a whole what could be an ordinary drawing to look like different art forms or different artist impression. So time therefore has been saved, and I think it's necessary to move on in terms of design. But from the point of view, so I came from the old school where things are drawn by hand. In fact, when I was training, we had to even draw type, which was very tedious. And you asked me, what the point was maybe you treat yourself to become very skilled in how you handle fonts.
And short-sighted.
Oh my god, I did that in Audio-Technica. It was
also,
a new
you
course.
drew type?
Yeah, I drew type, and then we had to do a 3D one, and then after that, you look at type from a whole different
now you click a
angle.
button, you can have a letter T, the alphabet T, and you can see all around it from top and bottom, and different ways you can put patterns into it and colors. Yeah, so it's come a long way. I wouldn't say it's good or bad. I would think it's good actually because it's more progressive, and the world needs that now. At the click of a button, so anybody can actually know the technical way of doing things, but you still have to develop an eye for design, right? You still have to have that,
and that cannot be
talent. That also cannot be learned. I don't think you need to be exposed to an environment where you're encouraged to notice things, look at things.
It has to be nurtured.
Yeah,
You can't learn it in a way.
And I guess London did that for you.
Well, I was really quite design oriented, but I think being in Europe, it kind of opened your horizon, and you start to appreciate things a bit more, not just in design, but I mean your lifestyle, your view towards politics, your view towards art and design, and in my case, I developed an interest in art and design, and also I was really into the performing arts. Watching films. all the independent cinemas and the indie movies. And at the period, I was thinking, and this is what happened to me, I guess. I would look at the film and go, I could do better. Arrogant, right? So the idea of reconnected with my Asian roots was there, and I thought after so many years, however you feel about living there in a foreign country, you're still a foreigner. So I came back to rediscover my Asian roots, and brought back. I was an art director when I came back, so I felt in some ways I was bringing back what I've learned, and because of my interest in movies, when I first got back here, MediaCorp, so I think they were called SBC.
Oh,
they were launching an English language station. So I got interested in acting, and they kind of encouraged me as well. Okay, I took part in this competition called Fame Awards. I was still advertising. I was still art directing and publishing, and they had an English language version of Star Search. So they're looking for talent, and it was broken into 4 parts: acting, comedy, singing, and hosting. And because of my accent was very, very English at the time, and I came back and they couldn't understand me half the time. So let's put Jerry into hosting. Oh wait! One of my friends saw an advertisement looking for people to take part in the competition, and she is American Chinese. So she said, "Hey, come along with me." So I kept her company, but unfortunately she didn't get in, and they spotted me, and so they asked me to take part. But then as soon as they realized that I was talking like that, so not like that, but in a kind of more atas way, I guess, they put me under hosting. You see, because at the time Masters of S.E.A. was done, and it wasn't very well received. It was too atas, probably. It didn't kind of resonate with the local audience. And then Under One Roof became very popular. So they wanted the local
just said Nick
thing. Yeah. So they naturally thought that my accent wouldn't help me in the acting side. I tell you what, why don't you speak to me in English?
Can
you speak to me in Singlish, and I'll answer you back in
Singlish. Or in a different...
in a different, yeah.
Speak to you in Singlish.
Oh, I...
What do you eat?
You can't take the UK out of Jerry.
Yeah, what's the booze? Oh, that's not Cockney, that's probably Midland.
Scottish?
Scottish, I don't know quite well actually. I would hate to do a Scottish because they get very upset if you do it wrong. I mean, one of my friends, and she's I think she could be from Hong Kong, Chinese, but she lived and grew up in England. And then she went to Scotland for a bit of time, and she liked Scotland, so she calls herself Scottish. And when she gets drunk, the Scottish accent comes up.
That must be a fun night.
So they put me under hosting. And unfortunately, I didn't do very well because, you see, I'm better now. But at the time, I would do anything but avoid the camera. It's like, and when you're hosting, you need to look at the camera because you're talking to your audience at home. So I flung with flying colours, and then they put me back to acting.
But you're still for the camera.
Well, it's different though, because when you're hosting, you're actually addressing your audience, right? So unless you're breaking the fifth wall, is that what you call it? The fourth wall.
That must have been quite a challenge, right? I mean, you were at least almost 20 years. We had many years in the UK. And then in London, and then then you just had to come back, right?
It was, I was very much like a cat. Well, I was a fish out of water, but thinking back, my life has been always like that, bit of a rolling stone, in the UK, not quite fitting because I was like, when you're a foreigner, you maybe view as exotic or unusual, but you know that you're not there, So after so many years, I still felt nice to be reconnecting with the roots. But when I came back, I'm to Angmo.
But this is one thing, right? I had an ex-colleague as well. And then this is where I guess we are a little bit whitewashed here. So we have this kind of like white superiority kind of thing. She had the opportunity to go there just for a few months to study. I mean, by that point of time, she had been working for quite a long time. So it was a sabbatical for her. And she went over there for a few months. And she was like, "What the heck?" Like
wait, what?
The standards of everything, basically everything that they did, and she realized like why we I won't say we should look down on them, but why are we looking up and then feeling that we are inferior.
See,
I mean, I understand what you're saying, because I've been to pitches, of course not in different pitches from you, of course, but but there is this idea that if I wanted to do a very good pitch, I'll increase my chances of winning the pitch. Bring a foreigner along.
A white one.
Yeah, a white one. A white. I'm not trying to cast aspersions here. I'm not trying to be disparaging, but there's just this hung up mentality that, okay, because about a white guy, I'm going to be a lot more successful in this pitch.
Yeah, I really like we sort of knew the game and sort of played along with it as well. For I mean, that was the game.
Yeah. Interesting question, because in advertising, okay, maybe we're getting better now, but there was a period where, maybe moving into sensitive topics, where most foreigners, white people, were the ones given the opportunities to be creative directors and all that, and clients would let these people, these foreigners get away with a lot of instructions, whereas if it's a local or Asian art director, creative director, they might give them a bit more assistance. And not only that, I was teaching speech and drama at one point, and we were told by the head of departments that they value native speakers.
And native meaning Caucasian.
Yeah. Because you speak the native tongue.
No, I
mean, sorry, it's so too sensitive, but I mean, it's something that we could learn from and mature from and grow from. Changes with time,
I think it's really commendable, because really, it's great, because most of these 20 years you haven't had the benefit of having a big vehicle of an agency or station to back you up and manage all your schedules and whatnot.
So is this admiration or pity?
It's not. I think it's great, because
quite hard.
It is definitely has been hard, and you've definitely been still at it.
Absolutely. So that's how I got into it. How I lasted 20 years. Oh my God! I think it's called perseverance. Well, I think I was quite lucky in a sense. When I first got into acting, they were starting this foray into this thing. They were getting interested in doing an English language program. So there were lots of shows being written, and there were not that many actors around. So I was given a lot of opportunities, and then being from that part of the world where we were a bit more open and less conservative.
Being the UK,
Being in UK, I have no problems with doing intimate scenes or kissing scenes, for example, although it's TV and you can't do much anyway. There were some actors who wouldn't do certain things. So like, you want me to kiss this one? Oh, get Jerry.
Get Jerry.
When I came back, I was actually a graphic designer, right, and art director, advertising company and publishing houses. But I was in a gym, and the guy who was doing the reception is a makeup artist. And he also, because of his profession, he's quite outrageous, So he does drag sometimes. So he was involved in a movie at the time called Boogie Street.
Oh yeah.
And the director is from Hong Kong, and quite avant-garde, I would say, right? So Gregor is the makeup artist. So he was saying to me, I'm going to be in a film. I'm playing this drag queen from Boogie Street area, and I'm looking for a boyfriend for the film. Why don't you audition? So they arranged for the director and the people, the people who hold decisions in casting was there, and I think it's one of the hotels in town. So it was a basement room, and the first time I auditioned. Okay, so I went to this room. It's actually like kind of a banquet hall,
Okay.
And they were opened up and have wedding dinners, but quite dim, and there was a spotlight on actually, and there's a hot seat, and you have the director, cinematographer, and the main lead actress from Vietnam, I think. And so they were trying to tell me, Jerry, we know you're not very experienced, but we would like you to audition for us. Can you do this? Look in the camera and imagine the camera is your girlfriend. How would you turn her on? So it was great. the reaction I got was like silence. And I thought, oh, they like it, you know. And then he said, okay, well, sorry, let's try something else. Look in the camera, imagine your girlfriend, make love to her. Silence. You could hear a pin drop, you know. Someone's going, oh.
Great branding, Jerry.
Yeah.
I'm the guy from the UK who will kiss anyone. I don't care.
So there was a program and it was talking about kinky sex. So get Jerry. Okay, fine. And then there was another program which on hindsight, you know, I felt very apprehensive because I was teaching speech and drama already in schools for extra curriculum section, and you're dealing with kids. So there was a role for one of the series, and I was supposed to be a stepfather who molested his stepdaughter.
Oh.
So I was thinking, maybe not a good idea, you know, because kids' parents, they might see me on TV and go, you know.
Yeah.
I did anyway, and I didn't have, because I talked to the school, the theatre company was employing me, and said it's fine, you know, people should be able to differentiate what's real,
you're an
what's
actor.
not. Yeah. So I did it, but I went through that period, and thank God there were lots of other roles that made me develop other sides of my acting career. So I started to play lawyers and doctors, and that became my stereotype.
Was there a moment in those years where you thought, okay, I'm never going to live this down, I'm finished with my career, and then you made that uncool moment so cool?
You mean in terms of acting? No, I'm just glad to be given jobs, you know, and unfortunately sometimes I get typecasted because of my image. I get to play doctor, lawyer, faithful husband, and terrific boss, and all that. And then I wanted to go back to give me a villain role, please. You know, I would like to be, you know, somebody horrible, wife beater, alcoholic, you know, whatever.
A more challenging role.
It's a bit. I thought it's a bit different. It's a bit interesting though, because many actors we know, they all come from drama school background. Especially now, I got a degree in acting and so on. You came from graphic design background. How is a graphic design background been? Have you ever used it? Have you found anything relevant when you come to acting?
Well, not in acting, but the crossover period. I would be doing, because of the art direction background, I would be doing set design. So there was a series called Altered Asians. I think it was one of the first ones that were being commissioned or outsourced for Art Central. So I was, it was TJ who asked me to help with the art production, art direction, and he also gave me a role. So it came to a point where I was saying, you know, because not many art directors around at the time, you want me to art direct for you? Give me a role to do. I did the art direction for say Hypopen, the Jack News. I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to do anything else other than just art direct. So comes the second one, I'm Not Stupid 2. I said, I'm not art directing for you anymore. Give me a role.
It's become contra.
Yeah, but they didn't give it to me because of that. I mean, I was asked to do. I played Jack's boss. And I'm Not Stupid. Yeah.
So in all this, I guess, shaped your aesthetic. I mean, graphic design helped you in your aesthetic, and it also you amassed quite a large collection, as we can tell, of art in your house, of your watches, which you brought some today.
And so for those of you who are listening and not watching us on YouTube, we changed the setup with the help of Jerry's collection of swatches.
Maybe.
Okay, Swatch
It's only
watches.
small.
How many do you own?
I think around 70 or so, but I have friends who have 100 swatches. You know, I mean, there was one girl I know at the moment. I wanted her to come with me, with her swatches and my swatches, to go into a swatch shop and change batteries. I mean, we have to close the place down for a week.
How many hands do you have? You need 70 watches.
Because they were at the time, you know, one of those things that you can buy, wear, you know, don't like, throw, get a new one. Because they're quite reasonable in price, and being Swiss made, I think they are. They're quite hardy. They don't kind of like break down. So, and the designs are really quite innovative. I thought, you know, it appealed to my sense of fun, and you know, you could wear one watch because it's fairly cheap. You know, in England it was like quite cheap lah. over here they're $100 each. Over there it's like maybe £80. I don't know. I can't remember. So I was like wearing one for every shirt, and the designs are so charming and cute and vibrant and young, I guess.
Yeah.
So I carried that right through my later on in my life, and that when swatches were becoming a bit more sophisticated, the designs are a little bit more pleasant and more refined. I still collected them, and then the chrono ones are a bit more sporty. I like them because of design lah. They're really fun, some of them are really cute. With
Some of
that
them
cartoon
are
ones.
amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So can
you-
you imagine there's a talk of the town, you wear them, go, oh look.
So what's the kind of design that appeals to you that says, okay, Jerry, you have to take me home?
Unusual ones lah. Usually the colourful ones. I went through a phase that I went for all I would like buy the whole set of cartoon designs,
Oh
and
my goodness.
I have.
The shop must have been happy to see you coming in. Hey, that's the guys. 5.
Well, no, in England, swatches were very popular and very ordinary, and so nobody would stop like say, oh, they won't say you again. It's like, please,
So like help yourself.
yeah, and you just like walk past, pick one, and that's it, and it's like not exactly disposable, but it's so you just buy, don't like throw, but except that I keep them because they're cute
Yeah.
and a bit of hoarder lah.
What other things do you collect?
Oh, I'm now into cast iron teapots.
What?
I know.
Sorry. Like, that is so specific.
Cast iron teeth.
Yeah, they've got to be kind of like metal and heavy and stuff. And when I love to drink tea, and when friends come to visit, and I'll say have some tea, and then I have tea bags. I don't use the teapots because they're for show. And they all laugh at me, but I put them on the glass case. Unusual ones are not necessarily antiques. Antiques are very, very
Rare.
well, and also quite costly lah.
If you're like, yeah, show me all your boxes.
I actually want to see your copper teapots. I'm like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it just sounds so like, what? What? I want
just
to
don't
see
expect to drink tea from it.
No, definitely not. Yeah. I'm not sure actually. It's a good idea, Don't they rust? I was in Taipei recently, 2 years ago now. I mean, we haven't been traveling for last year, and there was this exhibition going on, arts and craft exhibition, and there was some antique teapots and new ones lah. I mean, the antique ones you can see once you pick it up, you can see the rust underneath and the condition of it, but they're really very beautifully done. A very fine kind of a design, and they're only like $10,000. $10,000 and going, all right, okay.
Only
fine,
$10,000.
100, yeah. So I'm into teapots at the moment. I also collect timepieces. The ones which are not what I think about clocks and watches, right? They it comes with a glass case, and you can see all the mechanisms.
Oh yes.
And then you have fish or birds, either flapping or swimming, and they go tick 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 and they move around. Of course, I don't use them lah. So I put them in the glass cases. Yeah, they're there.
I can't imagine what your house must look like.
It's junk. My house is junk.
You speak very passionately about design and aesthetic, and you must have a very keen sense of aesthetic. So
Thank you.
how would you describe?
Well, not when it comes to fashion though.
Not when it comes to fashion.
It translates to your fashion.
No, I think in some ways, minimal is the thing, right? I mean, in the past, I would because growing up in England, where you are really encouraged to be individual,
Yeah.
so we would match biblos jackets, with a pair of jeans, for example. I mean, when I first came back, I couldn't understand why everybody was so precise about you could wear Prada top to bottom, Prada all the way down,
Oh, right.
and for me it was mix and match. So my feeling about design is more eclectic, I think, more into unusual, and so when it comes to fashion, I kind of take a back seat because all those stylists who are very professional and very with it on the game, on the ball, and what's happening around the world, they would tell you what's right, what's wrong, according to them.
So you still do a lot of art direction and stuff, right?
No more now actually. I think I've kind of been superseded. All these new kids and their computer savviness, they're like miles ahead. So now I mean, I would look at something and go, sometimes you see a record cover or a poster, and the words, they blend into the background. They don't even stand out. I mean, these are like logical, right? I mean, you want your headline to be red, so why use a color that doesn't stand out and stuff like that? So I still feel in some ways the young designers are not really appreciating the old classic ways of dealing with design and what is it for, or have an eye for what works and what doesn't work, what is aesthetic, and it's a talent, I believe, and a skill that you need to build, nurture, not from just clicking onto a website course and
Maybe in the past, it had to go through that chain of command, and then everything had to be approved. You had that head designer or the art director who would do that, and then now you have a lot of the smaller, maybe a lot of freelancers out there. I'm not dissing the freelancers, but they have more autonomy right now, right? And then they have more chances to display their work, and
because there are more platforms, right?
Yeah, there are more platforms, and then even right now, we look back at our work 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you're like, oh shit, why did I do that?
I think it's important if someone wants to stay long in this industry as an actor, is to actually, if as much as possible, for training courses, constantly hone your craft. There are courses where maybe online or when you hear of, there are some qualified actors and voice coaches who sometimes travel. When you hear of it, enroll in a course if you can, or maybe go abroad and take up a professional course, just to hone in onto your skills. Be modest and humble, and work hard. If you get spotted by a TV station, fantastic, you're one of the lucky ones. There are agents around that we can also seek help from. But I do think, don't get into politics, don't get into all kinds of unnecessary idle gossip, for example, and just concentrate on your work. Because in our industry, there is a lot of, because you're an actor, you're very visible, you can invite a lot of unnecessary attention, gossip, and so on. And if you partake in it, it doesn't help you. So I think it's a good thing to stay cool, stay humble, and work hard.
When do you think you were the most uncool? The most? And what would you say to yourself if you had the chance to?
But the period when I was my first 3 or 4 years in England, what do I say to myself then? Don't try so hard.
So, Jerry, for our listeners who may want to follow you and your work, where can they find you on social media and what your handles?
Okay. I'm not very active on Instagram. I'm just doing it because you have to do it, I guess. I'm more on Facebook, actually. Okay. So there's a Facebook fan page I have, just Jerry Ho, and that's my Facebook as well, which is, to me, is more interactive. Mind you, most of the people who are friends on my Facebook are really friends, or people I actually have association with, either through work or through personal contacts. And to me, Facebook is a very interesting way of there's a lot of interaction going on. So other than that, Instagram now, I guess.
Thank you for tuning in to The Uncool. Catch all our episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Our new episode of the Freelance Creative Exchange will be coming out soon.